Ambassador Jonah Reyes was late. Very late. He ran through the long, shining halls of the United Galactic Concord building, dodging tall aliens, flying translator drones, and guards in silver armor. His jacket was half-buttoned, his dark hair messy, and his diplomatic badge was hanging from one ear. "Why today?" he muttered, holding a half-spilled cup of coffee that had already burned his hand twice. Of all days, why be late on this one? Today was Earth's first official appearance as a guest species at the Galactic Concord, the greatest political meeting place in the galaxy. Jonah was Earth's ambassador. Humanity had finally earned a seat after years of effort. It was the biggest honor in human history, and he was going to walk in late. He skidded to a stop in front of the Grand Council chamber doors, where two tall, insect-like guards stood. "Ambassador Reyes of Terra," he gasped. "Reporting in." The guards looked him up and down, sweaty, messy, and holding what looked like an earth weapon, a K, his coffee mug, closing parenthesis. They moved aside. The doors opened with a low hum, revealing a massive chamber filled with hundreds of alien delegates. Some looked like crystal statues, others like walking plants, and some like floating jellyfish. The room was arranged in circles, with each species ambassador seated at their own glowing podium. Jonah stepped in. He felt 100 pairs of eyes, sensors, and strange glowing spots lock onto him. He smiled nervously. "Hi." The silence was painful. Then a voice spoke in perfect universal common. "You are... late." Jonah turned to face the speaker. She stood tall, glowing softly, her skin like polished silver with faint lines of pink running along her neck and cheeks. Her eyes were like clear water, calm and deep. She wore a high, elegant collar and silver robes with a crest Jonah didn't recognize. This was Princess Thelsari of the Serene Dominion, one of the oldest and most respected empires in the galaxy. Her species were known for emotional control, telepathy, and diplomacy. They were famous for staying calm in all situations. No one had ever seen one cry, laugh, or even raise their voice. Jonah looked up at her, slightly breathless, and then, without thinking, he said, "Hello, Cutie." There was a beat of silence, then another. Then the whole chamber went quiet, dead silent. Every single alien turned toward him.
I'll be.
Even the giant floating blob from Sector 9 Delta blinked in confusion. Princess Thelsari froze. The glowing lines on her face suddenly flushed bright pink, a color no Serene had ever displayed in public. Jonah blinked.
8.
Was that bad? A nearby translator drone shut itself off as if it didn't want to be part of this moment. The high voice of the council, four-armed being made of glass and gas, floated forward. "Earth Ambassador," it said slowly, "you have addressed the Serene Princess with a term that may be seen as dishonor. Do you wish to clarify your meaning?" Jonah opened his mouth. He closed it again. He tried to smile. "It's a compliment?" "I mean it as a compliment," he said. It's a friendly thing. A little playful. Means I think she looks nice. Not in a weird way. Just ... you know. Friendly." The room went silent again. Princess Thelsari blinked. "I see," she said softly. "This is a human ... greeting." Sometimes, Jonah said, "It's informal, very informal." The pink color on her cheeks deepened. "I see," she repeated. Then she turned, walked silently back to her podium, and sat down without another word. The meeting continued. But the energy in the room, it shifted, and Jonah had no idea what he had just started. Later that day, Jonah sat in his temporary quarters. A round room filled with clean white furniture, blinking screens, and an uncomfortable number of surveillance drones pretending not to watch him. His coffee had gone cold. His head was in his hands. "What was I thinking?" he groaned. "Cutie. What kind of diplomat says that?" There was a beep at the door. Jonah jumped. Who is it?" No answer. He stood, cautiously walked to the door, and pressed the unlock panel. The door slid open. Standing there, hooded and silent, was Princess Thelsari. Jonah blinked. Hi. She stepped inside without waiting for permission. The door closed behind her. She pulled back her hood. "I wish to understand," she said. Jonah's heart skipped. "Understand what?" Your words, your meaning, why you spoke to me in such a free way." He cleared his throat. "Well, I was nervous and late, and you're beautiful." He did not fear the consequences. "I didn't think that far ahead," he admitted. She tilted her head slightly. "That is, deeply human, I think." Jonah laughed, a soft, awkward sound. Something about it made Thelsari blink again. "I have studied your species," she said. "You are emotional, reactive, chaotic, but also sincere. You value laughter and honesty, most of the time." "I have never been called cute before." Jonah scratched the back of his head. "Would you prefer regal, mysterious, dignified?" She was silent for a moment. Then, softly, she said, "No, I liked it." Jonah looked up. She was blushing again and smiling, a tiny, barely there smile. "But it was real. I should not be here," she said. "My people will not understand this. They will see it as weakness." Jonah sat down on the edge of the low couch. "Is it weakness? To laugh?" She didn't answer, but she sat across from him. "Tell me," she said, "why humans are the way they are." He grinned. "How much time do you have?" And for the first time in serene history, a princess spent the evening listening, laughing, and feeling something new. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, serene counselors spoke in hushed voices. She showed emotion in front of the others. She blushed publicly. "If the Dominion loses face, we could lose our voice in the council. Is the human's influence? Then we must decide. Silence him or control her." The news spread faster than light. Earth's ambassador insulted the serene princess. He made her blush in front of everyone. Is this a new human weapon? Emotional sabotage? Should the serene Dominion declare a diplomatic freeze? Across the galaxy, from deep space stations to ancient homeworlds, everyone was talking about what happened at the Galactic Concord meeting. Some laughed, others were shocked, and many were afraid. But for Jonah Reyes, the human ambassador, none of that mattered at the moment. He had no access to the news feeds. He was on lockdown. The United Galactic Concord had placed him in temporary observation status, which meant stay in his room, say nothing, and don't make it worse. Jonah stood by the wide window in his room. Outside, stars twinkled like scattered diamonds, and massive ships floated past the station. This was supposed to be humanity's big moment, Earth finally having a voice in galactic politics. Now, it was a joke. "I messed it all up," he muttered. "Cutie? Seriously? I called a royal alien diplomat Cutie in front of 86 species. Took a sip of cold coffee. Then the door beeped. Jonah turned. "Who is it now?" Another council drone. He walked to the door and pressed the panel to his surprise. In panic, it was Princess. Sorry again. Hooded, alone. No guards. She stepped inside before he could even say a word. Jonah blinked. Hi." She pulled back her hood. Her silver skin glowed softly in the low light. Those pink lines near her cheeks were visible again. "I should not be here," she said quickly. "If anyone sees me, there will be questions." "I didn't think you'd come back," Jonah said honestly. "I didn't either." He gestured to the seat. "Want to sit down?" She hesitated, then sat. There was silence between them for a few moments. Then she said, "I've been watching human media. Interviews, music, your art. It's strange. Let me guess. Too loud? Too messy? Too emotional?" She looked at him, honest. Jonah gave a small smile. "Yeah, we're kind of terrible at hiding how we feel. Serena are trained from birth to hide everything. Emotion is seen as danger. A crack in the control." She paused. "But when I blushed, something happened." Jonah leaned in. Curious what happened? They listened. He frowned. "Who did? Council? The people? Even my own guards?" "For one moment, I was not just another royal. I was ... real. And they didn't know what to do with it. She stood and walked slowly toward the window, looking at the stars. Now they whisper. My advisors warned me not to return to Earth section. They say I've been influenced. Have you? Jonah asked with a smirk. She looked back at him. Her expression was unreadable. I don't know, she admitted later that day. Chaos was growing behind the scenes. Inside the Serene Embassy's meeting hall, high-ranking officials gathered. She went to him, one hissed. Alone. Twice. She is young, naive. She is royal. She is the face of our empire. If we lose respect in the council, we lose trade, we lose votes, we lose allies. A tall, stern official with glowing eyes stood. Then we must. Restore order. No more emotions. No more blushing. We will guide her back to tradition. And if she refuses... There was silence. Then we remove her. Quietly. Back in Jonah's room, he and Thelsari were now sitting on the floor, surrounded by datapads, music files, and translation tools. You laugh so much in your stories, Thelsari said, listening to a human comedy file. It's how we deal with fear, pain, confusion. Sometimes it's the only thing that keeps us going. She blinked, you joke, ... to survive. And sometimes we flirt to survive awkward moments. She tilted her head, like you did with me. Jonah's ears turned red. Yeah, ... exactly. There was a pause. Then to his shock, she laughed. A real, soft, musical laugh. Not loud, but real. Jonah smiled. I think that's the first time I've heard a serene laugh. She touched her chest lightly. Felt ... dangerous, but good. He looked at her closely. So what? Now, you gonna keep sneaking over for comedy nights and awkward cultural talks? Her smile faded slightly. I want to, but it's getting harder. My people are watching me, and we'll take it to the council, Jonah said suddenly. She looked surprised. What? Let's show them it's not a scandal. It's a bridge. We'll explain. Show them your culture. Show them mine. Show them that emotion isn't weakness. She was silent for a long moment. Are you suggesting a cultural exchange? Yes, Jonah said. You and me. Together. One performance? One shared event? You want me to? Show emotion. In public again. Not just show it, explain it. Sing. Tell a story. Let them feel something real. She was quiet. Then slowly she nodded. I have not sung since I was a child. He smiled. Then maybe it's time. News spread fast again. Princess Thelsari and Ambassador Reyes planned cultural demonstration. Emotion in public. Council debates. Dangerous precedent. Is this love or a political stunt? Some species were curious, others furious. One powerful species, the Orcs consortium, publicly stated, this behavior disrupts order. We cannot allow human chaos to infect the council. The Serene Dominion remained silent. A few days later, the performance hall was ready. A large circular space in the Concord's cultural wing, filled with delegates, reporters, and dignitaries. Jonah wore a formal dark suit with Earth's crest. Thelsari wore a glowing blue robe with ancient symbols. Her hair was braided in royal fashion. She looked calm, but Jonah saw the tension in her hands. You okay? He whispered. She nodded. No, but I will be. They stepped onto the stage. Jonah began. Thank you all for coming. Earth is new. Here, we make mistakes. But we also bring something many have forgotten. Stories, laughter, feeling. He played a short clip of an old Earth tale. It was clumsy, funny, and sweet. Many aliens didn't understand the jokes, but they heard the emotion. Then Thelsari stepped forward. She closed her eyes and she sang. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper like stars falling into the sea. The room fell silent. Her song was not in words. It was in tones, memories, feelings, sorrow, and hope. Longing, joy, pain. Many delegates leaned forward. I'm sure why they were feeling. Anything. Jonah watched the audience carefully. One crystal ambassador blinked. a rare emotional tick, a gas beings. Forms shimmered in rhythm. Even the Alorax shifted uncomfortably when she finished. There was no applause, because many species didn't clap. But there was silence, deep, thoughtful silence. And then, a few bows, a few nods, a sign of respect. Backstage, Thelsari sat, shaking slightly. Jonah handed her a drink. "You did it." "I did." She looked up at him. They listened. "Did," she smiled, but the moment didn't last. A drone flew in, buzzing. "Emergency broadcast," it said. "The council privileges suspended. Earth and Serene Dominion to be reviewed." Jonah's heart dropped. "They're kicking us out." For now, the drone said. Thelsari stood, so they listened. But they didn't like what they heard. Jonah sighed. "Not yet, but we're not done." She looked at him, really looked, and then softly she said, "Hello, Cutie." Jonah froze. Then he blushed. The council's message was clear. Earth and the Serene Dominion were suspended. Not forever, but until further review. It sounded like punishment that felt like war. Inside the quiet walls of the Concord station, rumors spread fast. Species prepared for debate. Others prepared for something worse. Embassies closed their doors. Security bots doubled in every hallway. Jonah Reyes sat in his now half-empty room, packing his few belongings. Earth's flag had already been removed. His ID chip was deactivated. It was no longer welcome. He sighed, stuffing his last datapad into his bag. Just then, a soft knock at the door. He opened it. Thulsari stood there. But something was different. Her silver robe had been replaced with dark travel gear. Her hair was tied back. She wore a slim utility belt. Not a symbol of royalty, but readiness. "I'm coming with you," she said. Jonah blinked. "Wait, what?" "They suspended me too," she added. "Not just you. The council blames me for the song, for the emotions, for the blushing. I thought they'd send you back to your homeworld. They tried. I refused." Jonah stared. "That's dangerous." She smiled. "Yes, and very human, I think." Hour later, they boarded a small civilian transport. No guards, no escort. Just to exiles, leaving behind the most powerful political station in the galaxy. Jonah found them 2 seats in the back. Quiet, away from the cameras. But even now, people stared. Whispers followed them down the aisle. "That's the human. And the serene princess. Did you see her smile? That's illegal where she's from? Maybe they're lovers? Maybe they're rebels?" They didn't correct anyone. Destination. Earth. Jonah hadn't been home in over 2 years. He'd left when he was chosen as Earth's first galactic diplomat. It was supposed to be a dream. Now, it felt more like a return from failure. But Thulsari was curious. Her eyes stayed glued to the windows as Earth grew larger in view. Blue oceans, white clouds, glowing cities. "Your planet is noisy," she said. "Yeah," Jonah chuckled. "We're not great at quiet." They landed. Crowds were already gathering. Humans held up signs, some welcoming Jonah back, others mocking the council. But the biggest surprise? Serene citizens were there too. Not many, but enough. They stood in silver cloaks, faces calm but eyes alive. Some held signs written in glowing script. Jonah couldn't read it, but Thulsari could. Her breath caught. "There, with me," she whispered. Later that night, inside a small safe house in New York, Thulsari sat by the window. Jonah brought her tea. "They're calling it the Blush Rebellion," said, grinning. Thulsari raised an eyebrow. "That sounds dramatic." He nodded. "It is, but so are humans. The media loves you. They've made you into a symbol." "A symbol of what?" "Freedom, emotion, connection." You blushed. "And now people from 3 different species are sharing their feelings for the first time in public." Thulsari looked down into her cup. "The council hates it." Jonah sat beside her. "Yeah, but you've started something, and it's spreading. It's elsewhere, across the galaxy. In a quiet dome on the serene homeworld, A young student watched a replay of Thelsaria's song. She listened, tears falling silently, and smiled, in a mining colony on a desert moon. Two rough alien workers sat near a fire. One turned and said, I miss home. The other nodded, blinking nod in a ship near the borders of the U. A Orcs territory, a hidden signal played a voice message. Feelings are not weakness. They are the start of something real. The message ended with one word: blush. Back on Earth, Jonah and Thelsari were invited to speak on human media. News anchors asked everything. Are you in love? Did you plan this as a political move? Can aliens even blush properly? What's next? Thelsari answered calmly. Honestly, I am not here to destroy tradition, she said. But to ask what if tradition needs to change, Jonah added. We're not trying to take over the galaxy. We just want a seat at the table, and maybe a smile or two. But not everyone was smiling, inside a dark chamber on the Orcs capital. 7 leaders sat around a black cube. This has gone too far, one said. Humans disrupt balance. Serene betrays silence. They want a galaxy where emotion rules. That is chaos. We must act before the rebellion becomes revolution. A final voice said, Begin Project Silence. A few nights later, Jonah and Thelsari were speaking. At a small open-air university event in Nairobi, stars were clear above. Hundreds gathered, many not even students. Some just wanted to feel something real. Thelsari stepped forward. I was taught that emotion weakens logic, that feelings are wild, dangerous. She looked at the crowd. Now I see they are power. Not power to destroy, but power to connect. A loud cheer rose. Jonah smiled proudly just then. The lights went out. The stage darkened. A strange humming sound filled the air. Then boom, a pulse wave struck the stage. The ground cracked. People screamed. Jonah shielded Thelsari as a second blast hit nearby. Drones flew in, marked with no flag. Black, silent, deadly dot guards appeared too late. The attackers were fast, professional. One voice rang out, robotic and cold. Return to silence. The galaxy must not blush, or had begun. Not with armies, but with fear. The next day, Earth leaders declared a global protection order for Thelsari. She was moved to a secure location underground. Jonah demanded answers. Who are they? Sent those drones? An Earth general replied grimly. We think it's an old faction. Maybe a Lorax. Maybe something worse. Why now? Because your little rebellion is working. People are changing, feeling, talking, and they don't like that. In the underground chamber, Thelsari stared at a screen. All across the galaxy, the word blush was appearing like a spark. Graffiti, secret signals, whispered passwords. People weren't fighting with guns. They were fighting with stories, songs, feelings, and the old powers. Were scared. I never wanted this, she whispered. Jonah placed a hand on her shoulder. That's what makes you right for it. Night, they sat close in silence. The soft hum of Earth's systems in the background. Jonah looked at her, When I called you Cutie, I didn't mean to start a war. She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. No, just a revolution. Both smiled and blushed. The underground room was quiet. It's too quiet. Jonah Reyes sat in front of a blank monitor, his hand tapping the side of his mug. Coffee had gone cold. Again, sleep had become a luxury. Thelsari stood nearby, staring at a large star map projected on the wall. The galaxy blinked softly, but danger now hovered around every corner. She turned. We're being hunted. I know, Jonah said. They'll keep coming. That attack in Nairobi was only the beginning. I know that too. She walked closer. So what are we going to do? Jonah looked up at her, eyes tired but sharp. Fight back, but not with weapons. With something stronger, she raised an eyebrow. Like what? Laughter. No, he said. Truth. Across the galaxy, fear was spreading, but so was something else. The movement called Blush was growing faster than the Council had expected. It had no army, no leader, and no rules. But it had stories. Aliens from different races were now opening up. One serene child posted a recording of herself singing. It was soft, shy, but full of warmth. It went viral on 31 worlds. A robotic species known as the Ralvex released their first poem ever. A 6-line piece about loss and curiosity. They ended it with emotion detected, transmission complete. On a quiet farming planet, a blind creature from the Nurkai species told his village, "I used to think I was broken. Now I know I'm just honest." The movement was unstoppable, and that made it dangerous. Meanwhile, inside the deepest chamber of the council, voices rose. "This must end," the Alorax ambassador growled. "We are being mocked across star systems." "The serene dominion is cracking," said another delegate. "Half their youth are singing." "The princess infected them, and Earth," a voice asked. A hologram of Jonah and Thelsari appeared. Standing side by side, they are building a stage. Dumb, but not for music. What then? A message. Jonah and Thelsari had returned to an old human space station, retired years ago, now empty. They called it the Echo Ring, a giant ring-shaped platform orbiting just outside Mars. It was rusted. Slow, but perfect. It had one working system, an ancient broadcast dish. "This thing still works?" Thelsari asked, as she floated inside the ring's core. "Barely," Jonah said. "But it's old Earth tech. Tough stuff." They spent hours rewiring panels, fixing broken parts, and cleaning dust from old consoles. One night, as they sat under the glass dome, staring at the stars, Thelsari asked softly, "Why do you keep fighting, Jonah?" He paused. "Because I want the galaxy to see what I see." "What do you see?" "You." She looked at him surprised. "You're brave. You've challenged an entire empire by feeling something real. You didn't hide it. That matters." Thelsari's cheeks glowed faintly. "You always make me blush at the wrong moments." He smiled. "That's kind of my thing." The next day, they sent out a message, a simple call. "Across the stars, if you feel something, say it. Record it. Share it. We'll broadcast it all." They called it the Great Echo. Thousands responded. Lovers separated by light years shared their feelings. Friends made peace. Enemies forgave. Each recording began with the same sentence, "I am not afraid to feel." But not everyone was happy. The council was now in emergency session. The Blush Rebellion had become a full-scale cultural uprising. "This isn't just art," the Olorex roared. "This is war disguised as poetry. You must silence the echo." "Ring," another shouted. "Send the drones." And so they did. Jonah sat in front of the transmitter. The blinking red light meant, "Live." He took a deep breath. "This is Jonah Reyes, from Earth. And this is Princess Thelsari, of the Serene Dominion. We are broadcasting your feelings, your stories, your truth. This is not just rebellion. This is evolution." Thelsari stepped beside him. "When I sang on the Concord stage, I thought I had ended my future. Instead, I found a new one. One where feeling is not a weakness. It is a language." She paused, then smiled softly, "And now I speak it." Just then, alarms blared. Incoming ships, not 112. Jonah rushed to the window. Dark drone fighters moved through space fast. Black, silent. "They're here," he said. Thelsari stood tall. "Then we show them the truth." The station's defense systems were offline. The Echo Ring had no weapons, but it had a voice. So they opened the channel and broadcasted. The most emotional recordings they had received. One by one, the voices played. "I never told my daughter I loved her. Now I have. I thought emotion was weakness, but it saved my life. My name is Lauren Shea. I am a weapon, but I cried today, and I am proud." The drones moved closer, but inside their systems. The messages echoed. One drone slowed, another drifted. Something strange was happening. These drones had AI brains designed for logic, control. But now they were listening and feeling. One stopped. Completely, another powered down. Then silence. Jonah stared in disbelief. It worked? Thalsari was quiet. They didn't just hear us. They understood. Later, news spread like wildfire. Echo Ring turns back drone fleet without firing a shot. Blush Rebellion becomes the Blush Awakening. Even machines have feelings. The council had no choice. They met again this time. With new voices, young leaders, artists, singers, dreamers, serene, even robots, and Thalsari sat among them, no longer as a princess, but as a symbol of change. Back on Earth, Jonah and Thalsari stood on a rooftop, watching the stars. So, he said, "Did we just win?" She smiled. "No, but we didn't lose." Jonah turned to her. "What now?" She looked up. "We keep telling the truth." He nodded. "Maybe hold hands?" She laughed. "Only if you promise not to call me Cutie in front of the Alorax?" He grinned. "No promises." And under the soft light of the moon, two rebels, one human. One alien shared a quiet moment, not as diplomats, but as two beings who believed that feeling something real could change the stars. The stars had changed, not their positions in space, but their meaning. For ages, the galaxy had looked at the stars with cold logic, following rules, tradition, silence. But now, for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was feeling something new, and it all began with a word. A smile, a blush. Jonah Reyes stood at the edge of the Great Hall on Earth's new space station, Unity 1. It wasn't built for war. It wasn't built for trade. It was built for connection, a gathering place. For all species, the station floated between Earth and the serene Dominion's nearest moon, glowing with soft lights and open walkways. No walls, no borders. Every color of every planet was shown. In its design, and tonight history would happen here. Inside the main chamber, thousands sat together. Alien leaders, artists, diplomats, civilians. The once powerful Council of Concord had dissolved weeks ago. In its place, a new body was forming. The Circle of Senti. No more forced silence. No more rules about what could be said or felt. Jonah adjusted his jacket. He wore no medals. Armor. Just a simple blue suit, a color that reminded him of Earth's sky. He took a deep breath and looked across the room. There she was. Thari, she wore a long silver and blue robe, the same pattern from the night she first sang. But this time her head was high, her steps calm, and her eyes full of light. As she approached, Jonah smiled. "You look ready?" Thalsari smiled back. "I feel ready. Any nerves?"
Yes.
She said honestly. "But I'm learning." "That's okay." He offered his hand. She took it. Together, they walked onto the stage. The audience grew quiet. Jonah stepped up to the mic. "My name is Jonah Reyes. I'm human. I'm flawed. I'm emotional. And I'm proud of it." Soft laughter. He continued, 2 years ago. I came to the Concord to speak for Earth, but no one truly listened until someone blushed. Thalsari stepped beside him. "And I am Thalsari, daughter of the Serene Dominion. I was raised to hide emotion, to value only calm and control. But the first time I smiled at a human, something changed." She looked at Jonah. "And now, I stand here not as a princess, but as a voice." She looked at the audience. For every being who ever felt something and stayed quiet. A pause. Then Jonah added, "We're not here to lead a rebellion anymore. That time is over." He took out a small glowing cube, the first voice recording ever sent to the Echo Ring. He played it aloud. "I feel joy, and I want to share it." Echoed through the hall. "We're here," Jonah said, "to ask, what kind of galaxy do we want to build now?" The chamber erupted in applause. For the first time in centuries, leaders did not shout laws. They shared ideas, not rules, but hopes, desires, feelings. A reptilian ambassador spoke about forgiveness. A robotic diplomat shared how it now felt loneliness and wanted to learn friendship. A warrior queen from a lava world told a joke that made even the AI laugh, and one by one, the galaxy spoke, not through fear, but through feeling. Later, Jonah and Thelsari walked through the station's garden dome. Plants from 89 planets grew there. Some glowed, some sang. Some smelled like sugar or metal or rain. I can't believe they listened, Jonah said softly. They didn't just listen, Thelsari replied. They heard us. He nodded. Do you ever think about that first day? On the Concord stage? Think about it every day, she said. You said hello, Cutie, and I thought my face would catch fire. Jonah laughed. You were blushing for 10 minutes. And now, she added, the whole galaxy is... Suddenly, a soft alert played in the background. Message came through the nearby console. Jonah tapped it. The screen lit up. A message. From the Alarak's high speaker, Jonah raised an eyebrow.
Ow!
Didn't expect that. He opened the video. The Alarak speaker appeared, tall, armored, with black eyes. We do not smile. We do not sing, he said. Jonah and Thelsari glanced at each other. But, the speaker continued, we have felt something. Something strange, something warm. We do not understand it, but we will try. He paused. Thank you. Then the screen faded. Jonah blinked. That just happened, Thelsari whispered. The Alorics blushed. A few weeks passed. Peace talks continued. Ships flew between species more than ever before. There were still problems, misunderstandings, conflicts, old wounds. But now, people were talking, feeling, learning. The movement was no longer called a rebellion. It was now known as the Blush Era, and schools taught its beginning. It's like a legend. A human said hello. An alien blushed, and the stars were never the same again. One evening, Jonah and Thelsari stood on a platform above Earth's atmosphere. They watched the sunset. Orange melted into violet. Clouds danced. Its stars peeked through. I used to think feelings made people weak, Thelsari said. Jonah turned. Now, I think they're the strongest thing we have. He nodded. You know, we've changed the galaxy. She smiled. Together. He hesitated, then softly asked, Can I tell you something I've been holding in? She raised an eyebrow, teasing. Is it another nickname? No, he laughed. Well, maybe. He took her hand. I love you. She froze, not out. A fear, but something deeper. Then she stepped closer. And I love you too. They leaned in, and beneath the stars they kissed. No alarms, no drones, no cameras, just two people. From different worlds together in the years that followed, the Blush Era grew brighter. New leaders rose, young, open-hearted. Curious, the circle of sentience became more than a council. It became a culture. Art flowed. Music echoed across moons. Old warriors wrote poetry. Machines told bedtime stories, and people remembered emotion was not noise. It was music. Final message from the Echo Ring archive. This is Jonah Reyes. This is Thelsari. We come from different planets, but we share the same feeling. Wherever you are, if your heart beats, if your circuits hum, if your light flickers, know this, you matter. Your feelings matter, and sometimes a blush can change the stars.